All right, let's dive right into his explainer and trace the absolutely monumental evolution of the FIFA World Cup. We're going to explore exactly how this event grew from a humble 13-team gathering into, well, the ultimate global sporting spectacle. I mean, with over 3 billion television viewers tuning in today, it's the undisputed king of sports, right? But how exactly did it conquer the globe? The journey from its inception to today is this incredible story of huge vision, wild logistics, and unforgettable drama. And honestly, it tells us so much about how our entire world has connected over the past century. To make sense of nearly a century of rich football history, we're going to break this journey down into 5 distinct, super fascinating chapters. First, birth of the World Cup. Second, eras of expansion. Third, the tale of 2 trophies. Fourth, legends and records. And finally, the 2026 mega tournament.
Okay, Chapter 1, Birth of the World Cup, the 1930 origins. Let's look at the humble and, frankly, somewhat chaotic beginnings of the tournament down in Uruguay. I want you to keep this central question in mind as we go, because the sheer momentum of this tournament's growth is truly staggering. So, picture this. Back in the 1920s, the Olympic Games were the absolute pinnacle for amateur football. But visionary FIFA president Jules Rimet, he wanted a professional, independent world championship. Now, this was a massive gamble at a time when global travel was practically unheard of for sports. To stage a worldwide tournament back then required not just intense organization, but immense faith that these disparate nations would actually be willing to cross entire oceans just to compete.
Just imagine the sheer logistical nightmare of 1930. You've got European teams dreading this costly, weeks-long transatlantic boat trip down to Uruguay, and all of this is happening while the world is gripped by the Great Depression. Jules Rimet practically had to beg teams like France and Belgium to make the grueling voyage. Now contrast that humble, really precarious beginning with where we are today. The 2026 tournament in North America is a 48-team logistical marvel spanning 3 entire countries and featuring 104 matches. Going from a handful of teams sharing a steamship to charter flights and billion-dollar stadiums, that perfectly captures the explosion of the beautiful game.
Moving on to Chapter 2, Eras of Expansion, Growing the Beautiful Game. What's really interesting here is how the tournament constantly had to adapt to survive over the decades.
You know, the major leaps in participation trace perfectly alongside the explosion of global media. A massive, game-changing turning point was 1954 in Switzerland. That tournament brought the matches onto television screens for the very first time. And television literally transformed local heroes into global superstars overnight, creating this shared international culture around the sport. Because of that broadcast revolution, the demand to participate just skyrocketed. The tournament had to evolve, pushing from its early rigid structures to 24 teams in 1982, expanding again to 32 teams in 1998 to welcome emerging footballing nations, and arriving at our current 48-team era to truly represent every corner of the globe.
But hey, as the tournament expanded, there were bound to be some incredible administrative hiccups, right? Take this massive anomaly in 1958 with Wales. Because of some sudden political withdrawals in the Africa and Asia zones, Wales essentially backed their way right into the biggest sports tournament on Earth without playing a single regular qualifying match. They basically just showed up. This bizarre loophole forced FIFA to completely rewrite their qualification rulebook on the fly, permanently mandating that no team could ever qualify without earning it on the pitch. It's a hilarious contrast to today's grueling, multi-year qualification cycles where literally every single point is a battle.
All right, Chapter 3, The Tale of 2 Trophies, Glory and Theft. Let's pivot away from the format for a second and talk about the actual prize everyone is fighting for, because it involves a surprisingly wild true crime story.
So the original prize, known as the Jules Rimet Cup, was the stunning depiction of Nike, the Greek goddess of victory. It was won permanently by Brazil in 1970 after they secured their 3rd title, which, by the way, was the rule at the time. But its story ends in total tragedy. The trophy was pilfered from a Rio de Janeiro headquarters in 1983, and unlike a famous 1966 incident where that same trophy was stolen in England and miraculously sniffed out by a dog in a garden, this time there was no canine savior. The original cup is lost to history forever. Authorities widely believe it was unceremoniously melted down for its gold. Just wild.
To replace that stolen piece of history, FIFA ushered in the modern design that we all instantly recognize today. Crafted by Italian artist Silvio Gazzaniga, it's a magnificent 36-centimeter, 18-karat gold masterpiece. But beyond the precious metals, it's the symbolism that really matters here.
It beautifully captures football's global, unifying spirit with two human figures triumphantly lifting planet Earth. It stands today as the ultimate, universal symbol of athletic victory, completely transcending languages and borders.
Chapter 4. Legends and Records, the greatest of all time. Let's dig into the incredible data behind the teams and individuals who etched their names into history.
When it comes to ultimate success, Brazil is the undisputed king of the tournament, with 5 spectacular titles. They've long been the absolute gold standard for attacking flair and joy on the pitch. But notice how closely they're stalked by the European heavyweights. Germany and Italy sit right on their heels, with 4 titles each, relying historically on unmatched tactical rigor and defensive discipline. It's a constant, decades-long clash of styles and a relentless battle for historical supremacy among these true giants of the game.
But check this out. When we zoom out from individual countries to entire continents, the data reveals a stunning duopoly. Only Europe and South America have ever claimed the championship. Nobody else. Europe currently holds 12 titles, while South America holds 10. Despite a truly global qualification process encompassing hundreds of ambitious nations from Africa, Asia, and North America, the ultimate prize is kept under strict lock and key by these 2 epicenters. It's this impenetrable geographic stronghold that really highlights the massive historical head starts and deep-rooted footballing infrastructures of these Pacific regions.
And when it comes to individual dominance, a select few have completely mastered the crushing pressure of the world stage. Leading the historical pack is Brazil's legendary striker Ronaldo, amassing an incredible 18 career goals across 4 tournaments, a huge testament to his sustained brilliance and raw power. He's followed closely by Germany's Miroslav Klose, whose longevity earned him 16 goals, also across 4 tournaments. And we absolutely can't ignore Gerd Müller's hyper-efficient 14 goals achieved in just 2 tournaments, proving that when the lights are brightest, these iconic finishers simply do not miss.
Yet for all those amazing career numbers, perhaps the most untouchable record in the history of the sport belongs to French striker Just Fontaine. He miraculously scored 13 goals in a single 1958 tournament. Let that sink in for a second. 13 goals. In today's highly tactical, hyper-defensive modern game, seeing a single player net 13 goals in one single month feels entirely impossible to replicate. It's an absolute anomaly of a bygone era, and a record that will likely stand until the end of time. Which brings us to Chapter 5, the 2026 Mega Tournament, The Future Is Now. This is the climax of our explainer, looking at the unprecedented scale of the modern game.
We are currently witnessing the largest, most ambitious expansion in football history. For the very first time, the tournament is being hosted by 3 sovereign nations, the US, Canada, and Mexico. It's the first time 48 teams will compete, turning what used to be a quick summer sprint into a staggering marathon of 104 total games. And anchoring this massive event is Mexico's legendary Estadio Azteca, becoming the first stadium ever to host matches in 3 separate World Cups. It's providing this beautiful, tangible bridge between the history of the 20th century and the mega spectacles of the 21st.
And the sheer scale of this event is only going to continue to grow. To simultaneously honor the 1930 origins in Uruguay while accommodating the massive logistical demands of the modern era, the 2030 Centenary Tournament will span a massive 6 countries across 3 continents. It'll be primarily hosted by Morocco, Portugal, and Spain, but will feature special celebratory opening games in Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Then, after that globe-trotting historical tribute, the 2034 tournament will shift its focus back to Asia, to be hosted by Saudi Arabia.
As you process everything we've covered today, I'll leave you with this final thought. We started by looking at European teams making a grueling, uncertain, weeks-long boat trip to Uruguay in 1930 just to field 13 teams. That humble gathering has evolved into a worldwide, multi-continental spectacle that commands the attention of over half the planet. If that is what the last 100 years look like, just imagine where the World Cup goes next. The possibilities for the beautiful game truly are limitless.